right, good morning, everyone. So before we get started today, I've just got a couple of housekeeping items that I'd like to go over. So firstly, this webinar is going to go for about 60 minutes. We'll present for about 45 and then we'll have time for Q&A. You can add your questions at any time into the chat box down the bottom. This webinar is being recorded, and after the webinar concludes, we'll provide a follow-up email that will include a link to the online event page with the recording and a recap of useful resources from today's talk, as well as any answers to questions that we didn't get to during the webinar. I also just wanted to mention that I'm currently working from home, as is the whole Eventbrite team, so please bear with us if we run into any technical issues along the way. All right, let's get started. So my name is Jess and I've been at Eventbrite for almost 4 years now. I previously headed up the customer experience team for the APAC region, and more recently I've been working with the customer success team on account management and platform training. Joining me today to assist with questions is Darcy and Megan, who are also part of the fantastic APAC Eventbrite team. All right, let's jump right into today's content. So today we're going to cover Eventbrite's COVID-19 safety playbook for events, how to use our reserved seating and holds features to easily assign and socially distance your events, repeating events and timed entry, contact tracing, and communicating with your attendees, along with Q&A. Before we get into how to use the product, I wanted to call out a resource that you should all definitely check out before launching your in-person events, which is Eventbrite's COVID-19 safety playbook for events. While planning to launch an in-person experience again, you're probably considering the health and safety risks for your event. Our safety playbook is a great resource for you when determining what risks are present and how to address them. We partnered with risk management health experts to put together this comprehensive guide so that you can navigate how you'll bring your own businesses back to in-person events. This playbook outlines a 4-stage safety process to assess your risks and mitigation potential, implement safety steps, communicate policies and procedures, and use your safety checklist. It also includes downloadable checklists and templates to use for your next event, and we'll include a link to the playbook in our follow-up email, or you can search Event Safety Playbook in Google. Now let's take a look at how we use our reserved seating and holds features to easily assign socially distanced seating to attendees. First, what are the different types of reserved seating events that you can build on Eventbrite? Well, these include a venue with reserved seating sections in rows, like a theatre, a venue with tables and chairs, like a jazz club, a venue with a mix of tables and chairs as well as sections in rows, like a comedy club, a venue with general admission sections that are first come, first serve, like a theatre with seats that are not assigned, which is more suited to events taking place after restrictions have been lifted. Today, we're going to cover the basics that will ensure you can build any type of setup and take a look at how you can use our holds to block off seats for social distancing. So let's dive in. We're actually going to go ahead with a live demo. So I'm just going to grab that up for everybody. Okay, so we've got our reserved seating event here. We've opened here on the basic info page. So this is where you fill out the what, the where, and the when for your event. So you start off by filling out your event title. Go ahead and assign it to an organizer profile. Select your type and category and add some tags to help with the searchability of your event. Moving through to venue, to location. We're going to select a venue. And once we've selected a venue, you'll see that this reserved seating option has now appeared. So if I turn that on, it now means that our event will be reserved seating and we can build out a map for our event. The last section on this page is the date and time. So with reserved seating events, you can only have a single event. We'll be running through recurring events later in the webinar. So we'll go ahead and click Save and Continue. This will take us through to the details page. So as with all events on Eventbrite, you have the details page where you can add in an event image, an event summary, and an event description with the ability to add further images or videos supported by YouTube or Vimeo. We're going to skip this section for today just because we don't need to fill it out. And we'll jump into the ticket section. So in the ticket section is where you build out your map. You would click New Venue Map. And this opens us up to choose what layout type we would like. So you can have tables and chairs, sections and rows, a mixture of tables and chairs and sections and rows, or you can start from a blank canvas. We're going to go with mixed seating for today. And once I click mixed seating, it'll ask me for my number of sections, rows per section, and then seats per row. We don't want our map to be quite this big, so we're going to just reduce the size of it. And then in tables, we've got 10 tables with 8 seats per table. Once we've nominated the sections and the tables, we can also add different objects to our event map. By default, you'll get a stage, but you can also add things like a bathroom or a bar. So we'll go ahead and add one of those. When we click continue, it's going to formulate a map for us. So here we can see that the map has entered a stage in here. We have our tables and chairs. We have our sections and rows. And then off to the corner here, we have a bathroom. Everything that's been inserted into your map can be moved around. So I can click on this bathroom and move it up, take it back down. I can move any of these sections that have been placed into the map as well. So once it's inserted onto the map, you have full control over any edits that you'd like to do. So I can move that around. I can also edit any of the sections. I click on the section and I click edit. So you get a couple of options here under layout and label. Under layout, you can change the row count and the seat count per row. It'll automatically calculate a total for that section here. Then you can choose the alignment. So whether you want it to be central or just in rows there. Then you've got curve and skew. So if you need to go ahead and do either of those, you can. From there, you can change anything in the label. So you have your section, row, and seat prefixes, which are by default section, row, and seat, but you can update those. And you can actually turn off the ability to show section labels. So if you didn't want them to be able to see that the section label on this section was 15, you can turn that off. You can actually also update the section label at any time just by clicking up here and retyping. You've got the ability to change the rows and seats as well. So rows, we can see here are A, B, C, D, and E. We can change that to 1, 2, 3, or we can change that to 1, 3, 5. We're going to keep it on A, B, C, but I also just want to point out here that it doesn't have to start at A. If I wanted to, I could start at Z, and I could change the way in which they actually appear there. We'll go back to A there. And the last bit on this edit section is editing the seat. So again, we can see the seat numbers are 1 through to 10. I can change the direction of those seats. I can change them to be 1, 3, 5 or A, B, C. Again, if I wanted to actually start the seats at, say, number 100, we can start at number 100. Whenever you make any changes, make sure you click apply just so that they save within your map. So that's editing a section. You can also rotate the section. So if you need to move it around, you can duplicate the section, and you can also delete. If you need to delete any single sections within the map, just click edit, click the seat you'd like to delete, and click delete, just so that we can get an idea of what it looks like to have a center alignment. If I apply this, we can see those 2 deleted seats have been deleted from there. But if I change the alignment of the section, it'll move it so that the deleted seats are more centralized. If you need to reinstate seats, you can do so. You just click on the seats, click restore units, and you're good to go. So that's editing. Tables are very similar in what you can edit. You click edit. You can change the tables and seat prefix along with the seat total. And then you can change the seat labels and what they start with. So once you've got your map all done and you're happy with the way that it looks, you then move on to creating tiers for your event. In here, we have the ability to go ahead and add your tiers. So we're going to add a tier here, which is for tables. We can choose to change the color if we like. And then we're going to add another tier. All seats on your map do need to be assigned to a tier, a pricing tier, in order for your map to be saved and therefore published. So what we're going to do is we're going to assign all the tables to the table tier. You can either click on the table on individual seats, or you can hold down the Command or Control button, depending on what keyboard you're using, and click and drag to highlight all, and then we can add it in there. So we'll go ahead and do that with our seats here. So we can see now that all of the seats in our map are applied to a pricing tier, which we can then create ticket types for. The last bit for this section is your selling order. So this little blue eye here is your selling order. By default, it'll be on your stage. And by clicking this here, show selling order, you can see how your tickets are going to sell. So for example, we can see here that these will sell first. They are a deep blue. And then as they get lighter, we know that those will sell last. If we wanted to change the selling order, we can change the pattern from circular to square. And so we see that the seats here get a little bit darker compared to when we're on circular. We can see they go lighter there. So it just changes the priority of your selling. Here's a good time to note that as you're building out your map and tiers, you should be saving regularly. All you need to do is click the Save button at the top, name your venue map. You can choose the ability to share this map with other events using this venue. You don't need to have that turned on. And here you get an indication of the stages of your map. So the first is that we have no issues with our map design. The second is that all seats have been assigned to an available selling order and a tier. So we can click Save. That will save our map. So at this point, we now have our map built and we have our pricing tiers, which we'll add ticket types into soon. The third option here is holds. And so this is where we're able to place holds on seats for social distancing. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a hold in here. We'll rename it social distancing. I can also give it a up to 3-letter internal code name. So if I just name it SD for social distancing, I'll know that any seats I apply to this hold will have SD written on it, and therefore I know it's for social distancing. So classically, holds have been used for things like holding family and friends tickets on seats that you want to be able to allocate to family or friends, VIPs, etc. But it can now be used for things like social distancing. So for example, you might have noticed that in a lot of theatres, they're placing holds on every second seat. So to do that, I can either click on the seat one by one, or again, I can hold out that Command or Control button and click and drag. I can click and drag all of these seats. Once I've got them, I can click that plus button again. And so now we've added all of those seats into a hold. It means that when an attendee comes to purchase a ticket, they'll only be able to purchase seats 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9 in each row. While the product isn't able to automatically pop holds into seats, onto seats next to those that have been purchased, this is something that you can be manually managing. So you can be adding and removing holds at any time. If you have people who are booking more than one ticket at once, you can be managing this map so that when an order goes through, you can go ahead, say these 4 tickets were reserved, and you can just click on that seat and add it to the hold and then save your map so that the next person that comes in won't be able to purchase seat 5. They'll start from seat 6. Once you've added all the holds that you would like into your map, make sure that you click save. And from here, we can go and create our ticket types. So what we do is we actually exit the map here. And this will take us back to the tickets page, which now looks a little bit different because we've created our map and we've created our selling order tiers. So we can see in here, we've got our tables tier and our sections tier, and it's given us a total capacity for the event. So what I can do is I can go ahead and add a ticket type. I'm going to call the first one VIP, and it's going to be for our table seats. So the ones that are closest to the stage. For those seats, I'm going to be charging $50. I can go through and set the sales start and end time. And in event settings, I can add a description, choose whether the ticket is visible or not, and then have a minimum and maximum quantity purchasable. I'll save that ticket type. So we now have a VIP ticket type that applies to all of the table seats in our map. And then this one I'm going to call general admission. And I'll apply a price to the sections, which is going to be $30, and I'll save. So we now have a VIP ticket type and a general admission ticket type that apply to each of the sections that we set within our map. In terms of creating a reserve seating map, that's everything you need in order to go live. So I'll pause here and just check with Megan and Das to see if we've had any questions about reserve seating come through.
We're all good so far, Jess, but please do feel free to pop in any questions in the Q&A box as we go along. And as Jess mentioned, we're happy to either answer them live or we can follow up after as well.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Das. Okay, so we're going to jump back into our presentation here. All right, so next, let's take a look at repeating events and timed entry. So Eventbrite created the repeating events tool so that event creators that have the same event over and over can set up a page for attendees to choose from the multiple occurrences to register. This setup not only makes finding the right event on the right date easy for attendees, but is also a valuable time-saving tool. Using our repeating events feature is another great way to stagger and control attendance, and we've seen an increase in the amount of timed entry style events as a result of restrictions. Repeating events on Eventbrite have all of these characteristics in common. The same tickets are offered for each and every occurrence of the event. For example, if you have a repeating event that goes Monday to Friday with general admission tickets, those general admission tickets offered will be the same on Monday as they are on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. This also extends to the ticket quantity and price. So if you have 50 tickets at $10 each, this will be the same across all dates in your schedule. Finally, the location and event details are always the same. You have the same talent and presenters, the same event material, the same venue or location for all dates in your schedule. So we're going to jump right into creating a repeating event like we just did for creating a reserved seating event. I'm sorry, just getting the right screen up for you. All right. So now we'll jump into our repeating event. So again, we're back on this basic info page. We've got our organizer profile. Again, got the event type and category tags, locations. We're going to go ahead and set a venue. But this time we're not going to turn on reserve seating because what we'd like to do is turn on recurring events under date and time. So this allows us to add in multiple dates and times against our event schedule. So we'll click recurring events. We'll click save and continue. And this takes us through to the schedule page. So this is where we add in the occurrences for our repeating event. What we're going to be building out today is a museum style event where we have the museum open for all of Saturday and people can choose to attend in 1 hour slots. So when you're creating your schedule, you can toggle between looking at it on a month by month basis, a week by week, or a day by day. So we're going to go through and find the Saturday. And what we can do is we can start adding in our schedule. So you can add in by clicking on the map. So I can find the first time slot and click schedule, or I can click add date and nominate the date and time. So for ease of use, we're going to just click schedule here. When you're adding an occurrence to your repeating event, you have the start date, the start time, and the end time of that occurrence. As our tours only have a 1 hour, we'll change that to an end time of 10 a.m. Then you have the ability to nominate whether this occurs once, daily, weekly, or monthly. So for example, if you had it running over multiple Saturdays, you could have it on weekly, knowing that it's on Saturdays. You could also nominate it to be on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, if you would like as well. Then you choose when it's ending. So ending on a certain date or ending after a certain amount of events. So what we can do is actually nominate to end it on Saturday the 12th because it only runs over two Saturdays. So we'll click save. And we'll see that now that is included in our schedule. And if I scroll to the next week, it's also at 9 a.m. the next week. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and build out these times. And Darcy, if you've got any repeating events questions, now would be a good time to shout a few out if you like.
So we don't have any at the moment on the repeating events schedule, but please do feel free to pop them in the Q&A box. Megan and I are in here just answering a few as we go. So yeah, definitely shout out if you've got any questions.
And so you'll see as I start to build out, the system has picked up on the fact that our session times here are only an hour, so it's not trying to assign me any 3-hour blocks or hour-and-a-half blocks. It's staying standard with what we've been adding in so far. And we'll just quickly build out the rest of these sessions. Perfect. So all added in, we can see that for this repeating event, we have sessions that start at 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's open from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. on both Saturday, the 5th of December, as well as Saturday, the 12th of December. So once we've created our schedule, we can click continue. This will take us through to, again, that event details page before we jump into tickets. When you're creating a repeating event, it's really important to make sure that you're creating tickets with the knowledge that every ticket you create will apply to every session that you added to your schedule. So every ticket that I create in here, we'll have a general admission ticket. We can have 20 people enter at once, and we're going to charge everybody $10. It means that at 9 a.m. Saturday, there will be 20 people allowed to purchase a $10 ticket. That's also the same for 10 a.m. Saturday, 1 p.m. Saturday, even 1 p.m. the following Saturday. So this is the session quantity and price. From here, we'll go ahead and click save. And we've added in our ticket. So that's everything you need in order to get up and running for creating your repeating event schedule. If there's no more questions here, we'll jump back into our custom questions with timed seating. All right, so another tool that can be used to create timed entry is our custom questions feature. It's classically used for things like endurance events. Custom questions allow your attendees to select the time they'd like to arrive at your event. This is now also helpful for larger events where you want to control ingress. So we'll jump back into our demo. And so here we have a custom question demo. This one, we're just going to have a single event without reserved seating and without repeating events, just to keep it simple. But you can obviously use custom questions for reserved seating and repeating events. We're going to quickly create a ticket. Do the same as before. So we have tickets in our event. So in order to create custom questions, what you would do is you would jump into order options and then into order form. So our event we set for the 5th of Jan. Actually, what I might do is I'll jump back into that page. What we're creating in this event is a full day music festival. So we're actually going to start it at 10 a.m. and the event ends at 9 p.m. So we'll save there. Now we'll jump back into our order form. So the order form is the information that you're collecting from people who register for your event. So you have the ability to collect from just the buyer, or you have the ability to collect from each attendee. So for example, if I was buying 4 tickets to this event, it's going to ask me for all of the details I've preset 4 times. So once you've selected who you're collecting information for, and each attendee is really fantastic, and we'll jump back to look at contact tracing using this section as well. You can also indicate which ticket types you would like to collect the attendee information from, and then can customize what information you're actually collecting. So by default, we'll collect first name, surname, email address, and then the payment info if it's a paid ticket. You can turn any of these formatted options on, but today, or for this one, we're just going to click on add custom question, and this is how we would add in a question asking what time people are believe that they will be arriving at your event. So our question prompt is what time we go. We're going to go ahead and choose our question type as radio buttons. To give a quick rundown here, text and paragraph text allows the question answerer to go ahead and answer the question with free text. Checkboxes allow you to pre-format options and people can select more than one. Radio buttons and drop down, you can have the options available and set out, but they're only able to select one. Radio buttons, they'll see all options on the order form page, and then drop down, they'll have to select the drop down to see all of the options. And the last one is your additional terms. So for things like terms and conditions, it'll allow you to input your terms and conditions, and attendees will have to agree to those before they can complete their registration. For this question, we're going to go ahead and click radio buttons because we want our attendees to see all of the options available, but we only want them to be able to select one as opposed to checkboxes. So in our options here, we're going to just quickly start typing out a few options for people to arrive. And the call out here is that this is, it's non-binding. It's really just used so that your attendees can indicate what time they're going to be arriving at your event, and therefore will allow you to plan for things like the amount of lanes you have open, the amount of staff you have on the gate, because attendees obviously may not abide by what they've indicated, but it does, like I said, allow you to plan. Actually make that 9 p.m. All right, so based on previous year's events, we know that most people will come in before 12 p.m. For our event. So we've just broken out the times before 12 p.m. and then we've added in the rest of the day. From here, I can add in some additional sub-questions if I need to. I also have the option to show questions for specific ticket types and then show the attendee's answer on the order confirmation and ticket. So I'm going to click that because it means that the option that they select will be printed on their ticket, and therefore they'll be able to see it as they're getting ready for the event. So we'll save. And so now when an attendee is registering for your event, they will have to indicate what time they're expecting to arrive, and that answer will be printed on their ticket. So that's using the order form to get an expectation of when your attendees are arriving at your event to stop gathering outside the gate of your event. We'll jump back into...
Hey, Jess, we've actually got a live question here on the custom questions.
Oh, that's great.
Jasmine's asked, is custom questions where you might add terms and conditions around the attendee providing correct contact details, etc., when they're purchasing multiple tickets?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's part of what we're about to go through now around using custom questions for contact tracing. So we'll cover that question as we're moving through the next section.
Awesome.
Thanks for that, Daz. So moving into contact tracing, you might be required to ensure you have sufficient contact tracing set up for your event, so you can know who attended your event and their key contact information should it be needed post-event. You can use Eventbrite to collect customer info before your event, track attendance using contactless check-in on the Eventbrite Organizer app, and run reports based on attendance and check-in time. So let's take a look at these in more detail. So we're back in the order form page. And as per the question before, you can definitely go into add custom question. And if you had certain expectations that you wanted your attendees to adhere to, you would just choose the question type to be additional terms. This allows you to add in your prompt and then the actual additional terms. And what this does is formulate your order form with a copy, like a print of those additional terms. And then underneath it will be a checkbox that says, I agree to these additional terms. And they will need to tick that box in order to register for your event if you've put this custom question as required on your event page. In terms of contact tracing, this is where all of this sort of pre-formatted bits at the top can come in handy. So like I said before, by default, we'll request first name, surname, and email address. We've seen a lot of organisers in turning on mobile phone for contact tracing purposes. So you have the ability to turn that on. If there's any details that you need to collect from your attendees that aren't included in these pre-formatted options that you need for contact tracing, you can go ahead and add that question in yourself. So you have full ability there. The other call out I wanted to make on the order form page is down the bottom where you have your registration options. So you have the title for the registration page and the instructions for your attendees. This is what appears at the top of the order form page where your attendees are filling out their details in order to register. Typically, the instructions for your attendees can include something like, please ensure all ticket information is correct for contact tracing purposes. So that will appear at the top of the form that they're filling out. You've also got the registration time limit, so how long they have to actually fill out the information that you're asking. You may want to go ahead and up that if you're asking for specific information, especially if you have, if you're collecting information from each attendee, because they will need to fill it out multiple times depending on how many tickets they're purchasing. Then we've got the message to display after ticket sales end. So if your event sells out, what do you want your attendees to see? And then down the bottom, this button here is allow attendees to edit information after registration. So what we've seen with events in the last sort of few months is that organisers have this turned on. It means that your attendees are able to log into their Eventbrite account, click on the ticket for your event, and click an edit button, which allows them to edit any information that they supplied for their order. So their name, their email address, answers to any of the custom questions. And what we've seen with organisers is that they've got that turned on, but they are, have let their attendees know that they have up until a certain day and time to update the details on their tickets. And then they're jumping in here and just switching this off. So a certain time before the event, they have their exact attendance list. We do want to call out that obviously we can't control if somebody passes their ticket on to someone else. So if someone's using a ticket that doesn't have their name on it, the Eventbrite scanners will just scan the ticket, and if it's valid, it will check them in. If you want to be matching names to the ticket, you can request that people present their ID while they're presenting their ticket, and you can cross-check it to there. And if the name doesn't match, you can have them register their details manually on site through sort of a secondary setup stand there. So that is our custom question page, and that's grabbing the details that you need for contact tracing. Is there any questions there, Darcy? No, perfect.
So there, no, I think we're all good on this one, but please feel free to continue to pop your questions in the Q&A section. Oh, actually, no, we do have one now. Can attendees transfer a ticket to another person via the edit function?
No, so they can edit the details on the ticket. They can change the name. They can change the email address that they put down for the ticket. But no, they cannot actually transfer that ticket to another person's account unless you have self-service transfers turned on. So we'll include some information on self-service transfers in our follow-up email.
Thanks, Jess.
Perfect. All right, so we'll jump back into our presentation. Okay. Oh, we just moved backwards. Sorry about that. So the next thing that we wanted to look at is the Organizer app. So on the day of the event, you can track who attended your event with contactless check-in on the Eventbrite Organizer app. Simply download the app, log in, and head to the check-in section. The camera on your device can scan the QR code on a ticket, which checks in the attendee and records the check-in date and time. The dashboard of the app then gives you live data on how many people are checked into your event as well. So if you need to have up-to-date of the minute information on how many people are actually inside your event, the event dashboard, which is just the section down here, is where you will find that. Oh, sorry about that, guys. All right, the last thing that we wanted to look at for contact tracing is reporting. So post-event, if you need to access your information, you can do so in the reporting section of your event. So I just need to get the right, so we jump back into the event. And to access your reporting, you can go to reports and then event reports. There are two event reports that are useful for looking at event attendance post-event. The first is the event attendance versus no-shows. So that's this report here, where you can pull a list of everyone who actually checked into your event. If you need more granular data, then you can use the event attendance by time, which not only gives you a list of people who attended your event, but what time they actually checked in using the Eventbrite Organizer app. Okay, so from here, we're going to move into communicating with your attendees. So in the current situation, it's vital to keep an open communication with your attendees. As restrictions change, it's important to keep your attendees informed on what those changes can mean for your event, for the event they're attending, and also what to expect in relation to adhering to guidelines. So let's start with what to communicate. Take your attendees on the journey with you. In addition to your policies and procedures, consider sharing your decision-making process, what factors were considered, and with whom you consulted in your marketing decision. As no event is risk-free during a pandemic, consider highlighting the existing uncertainties, what measures are being taken to reduce those risks, and your corresponding refund policy. This is an opportunity to empathetically show ticket buyers that you have given these issues consideration and care. It also provides attendees the opportunity to decide to accept those risks, take additional precautions when attending, or decide not to attend. Second is what's expected of attendees. So attendees have a shared responsibility in event safety. Communication should include what actions attendees must take to protect themselves and others from COVID-19, such as bringing their own face coverings, what symptoms will not be tolerated at the event, like fever, tiredness, dry cough, and special consideration if they are a high-risk individual. So for example, people over 65 years of age or people with an underlying health condition. Manage expectations and ask for them to be patient and flexible due to the evolving nature of this crisis. Require that attendees self-certify that they do not have symptoms, have not been diagnosed with or had direct contact with a known or suspected COVID-19 case in the past 14 days, and will comply with the event safety policies and procedures, including wearing face coverings, physical distancing, and other determined requirements. You could also include that violation of policies may cause removal from the event. Thirdly, we can look at when to communicate. So share this information before someone purchases a ticket on your website or the ticket listing page, or for example, as additional terms in your order form. Also after they have purchased a ticket using the confirmation email, leading up to the event, so a pre-event email and or using your social media to account for any updates or changes, and communications at the event to remind attendees to comply using signage or through an announcement at the event. Once you've communicated your safety precautions, it's important to listen for feedback and concerns before, during, and after your event, and to be responsive. Lastly, we can look at knowing your audience. So identify and address potential language, cultural, and disability barriers associated with communicating COVID-19 information to event staff and participants. Information you share should be easily understood by everyone attending the event. Use both signs and audio announcements to communicate event rules. Now let's take a look at how to use Eventbrite to communicate with your attendees. Eventbrite's emails to attendees tool is a messaging feature available from within the back end of your event page. Emailing your attendees through Eventbrite is simple, as we pull your event's attendees into contact lists and let you segment by the audience that makes most sense for your use case. So we'll jump into a live demo of using that emails to attendees feature. In order to access emails to attendees under Manage Attendees, you do need to have a published event. So at the moment it's grayed out because our event isn't published. So what I'll quickly do is I'll jump into Publish. I'm going to leave it on private just so that no one else can access it, and I'm going to publish it. And so now when we jump into Manage Attendees, emails to attendees is available. So to create an email, you click Create New Attendee Email. And in here is what we can set. So we can set the name of you as the organizer, your business, etc. So who is contacting the attendees, the reply to email address, which by default will be the email address you're logged into. Then you've got all who you're sending it to. So all attendees registered after a certain date, specific attendees, which lets you select each attendee that you'd like to email one by one. Attendees by ticket type. So if you only wanted to email VIP tickets, you could. And then from there, you can select the subject or change the subject. So you can have message to attendees of custom questions is what's default, but you can definitely update that to important notice to attendees of custom questions, and then you can formulate your message. So in the message box, you have customization options. You can bold, italic and underline your text or have a strike through. You can change the alignment of your text. You can change the font and the font size, as well as the text color and the highlight color. You can add bullet points or a numbered list. And then you also have the ability to embed a link behind your text using these buttons. You can insert an image as well. Once you've got the image, or once you've got your event all formatted, you can send yourself a test email, and that allows you to see what the email is going to look like. You can choose to include event details and a link to print tickets in the email. And then you can choose when you're going to send it. So if you're going to send it now, if you're going to send it on a certain date, or if you're going to send it a certain amount of time before the event starts. So for example, 24 hours before the event starts means they'll get it the day before as they're starting to think about preparing for your event. So that's emailing your attendees. Jump back into our presentation here.
Hey Jess, we've actually got a question on the emails to attendees. Just wanting to confirm, when you do send it to all attendees, the question is, do the attendees see each other's emails, or does it automatically go under a BCC email?
That's a great question. No, so attendees don't see other people's email addresses. It will, it will come through to the attendee just as a basic to and from. They won't see anyone else either as in the to fields or as CC'd.
Thanks, Jess. And we've got another question here. Once you send an email to attendees, can you send a follow-up or save the date reminder?
Absolutely. So you can send as many emails to attendees as you'd like. And like I said, you can be scheduling when you're going to send them. So you can formulate an email and send it today, and then you can formulate another email and schedule it to be sent right before the event. Okay, so in terms of content, that was everything we have to present today. So thanks for sticking with us through the presentation. I'm now going to open it up to any questions that might have come through that we didn't get to answer as we were running through those sections live. But please remember, if we don't get to your question today, we'll also be sending a follow-up email with resources, how-tos and help center articles that will cover all the topics we talked about today and a full recording of this webinar. We'll also send out a short survey and would love some feedback if you can spare a couple of minutes. So I'll throw it over to Das and Megan to see if there's any other questions we can get answered today.
So we've got a question here that is, if one of the attendees cancels via email, is it possible to reallocate their seating allocation?
Absolutely. So if it's a paid ticket, they'll need to request a refund from you. And if you issue a refund, that seat will automatically be added back into capacity for your event. So that seat can be resold. The same goes if it's a free ticket in a reserved seating map. If they cancel their free ticket, that seat will automatically go back into your inventory and can get re-reserved through your event page.
Thanks, Jess. We've got another one here asking, if attendees have questions, do they go to Eventbrite or do they go to the organizer directly?
So questions about your event will go through to you as the event organizer. Attendees can contact the organizer in a number of ways. So the first is through your event page. There's an option to contact the organizer. They can also contact you from within their Eventbrite account, similar to where they have the option to request a refund. They can also click a contact the organizer button, then that goes through to you. And then also if they reply to their order confirmation email, they go straight to you as the organizer. So Eventbrite don't have any of your event details, and therefore if they did reach out to us at Eventbrite, we'll redirect them to contact you as the event organizer.
Brilliant, thanks Jess. We do actually have a couple more questions coming through. So
Great.
Talking about reserved seating maps, can you edit the reserved seating map once it is live by designing new seats rather than like releasing holds that are already in those existing seats?
Absolutely. So your event map can be edited at any time. You can be adding in new sections. You can be editing existing sections as long as there isn't a seat sold in that section. So yeah, definitely you can be adding to your map as you sell tickets. You just can't edit existing sections in your map if a ticket's been sold within that section.
Awesome, thanks, Jess. We've got another question here. So can we, as the organizer, change the name and email on a ticket? For example, if an attendee can no longer make it and wishes to give their ticket to a friend.
Absolutely. So as the event organizer, you have full control over your event, including the people that have registered for your event. So all you would need to do is jump into, I'll just go back to my live demo screen, just one second. So within here, all you would need to do is go into the order section under manage attendees. All of the orders that have come through your event will be in here. You can search for the order, and when you find the order, they will be represented down here. Obviously, we don't have any orders in this event, so there's none to show, but there will be an actions drop down in the corner of the order where you can edit information. So it'll either say edit ticket buyer or edit attendee information on the ticket by ticket level. So we'll include a step-by-step guide on that in our follow-up email as well.
Beautiful, thanks, Jess. I think we've got one more question here. Actually, I've got a couple here. This is great. Another question is there a way to invite people to purchase held tickets or to assign holds?
Let me have a think about that. So a way to invite people to purchase hold tickets. Absolutely, yes. So if I jump back into the reserved seating and I go into holds, I can see here that our social distancing hold is there. We can create a code that applies to that within the map. So if I go into edit holds in the map, and then in here, we can see that there's access control. So if I click that, I can create a new access code. I can go ahead and give that code a name. I can fill out whether they get a discount. So for example, these guys can have a 100% discount. I can give a ticket limit, which is optional, expiration date and time, and then whether it applies to all tickets or only certain tickets. So we'll only apply it to our tables VIP. So we'll save and close. And so now that we've added in that hold access code, we'll jump out of the map. And back in this holds page, we can now see that we have a code applied to it. So if we jump into our promo code section under marketing, we'll see the code that we just created. And so we can view shareable link. So if you're inviting someone to purchase a ticket, all you need to do is copy that link, and it will mean that the access code is already embedded when they go to that URL, and they don't need to put it in themselves. So the invite itself, you can formulate either in Eventbrite by using email invitations, or you can send it through your own email system, and you just need to grab the shareable link from the code in here.
Thanks, Jess. It looks like we have gone through all of the questions that have come through so far.
Great, and it looks like we're just about at time as well, so that's great timing. Thank you to everyone that joined our webinar today. As I mentioned before, we are sending a follow-up email, which will have a recording of today's webinar, along with how-tos, help center articles, and then any questions that might have come through once we'd wrapped up questions as well. But that's it for today's webinar. Thanks again for tuning in. Thanks to Darcy and Megan from the Eventbrite team for joining. And everyone have a great rest of your day.